I'll tell you a little bit about my background so maybe you can get an ounce of credibility out of it. I was brought up in Illinois, went to California for college, Cal State Fullerton. Right out of college, I joined the Westminster Police Department, Central Orange County. Served as a police officer for 10 years, 7.5 years in homicide and armed robbery. I have been shot and I have shot bad guys, so it's a very rough life in Orange County, California. The only process server or people in your line that I ever dealt directly with was a gentleman who was doing a repossession on a truck, and I wound up arresting him, and he was shot in the leg by another officer during the process because he had a different idea of what the laws were in California. After I left law enforcement, I got into the ski industry. Worked for Snow Summit Ski Corporation as their risk manager for several years. Got pirated, brought out here to Colorado. Went to work for Ralston Resorts as their risk manager. They owned Keystone, Breck, and Arapahoe Basin ski resorts. When Vail bought us, I came down to Denver Health and was risk manager at Denver Health and Hospital. Now we have 5,700 employees, a whole bunch of docs, a whole bunch of people that you guys might want to have process served on as a witness. And I basically want to tell you how the hospital, ours specifically, but generally work when it comes to process serving. And I can also take any questions you guys might have. Understand that fundamentally I know your job and we want to help you, but we need to have you understand a few of the basic guidelines. One thing, we can help you with criminal defense cases where our doctors may be a witness, car accidents, something of that nature. We do a lot with the district attorney, with the public defender's office. They're bringing in criminal cases all the time, but you guys don't really deal with them so much. It's going to be primarily law firms. Law firms think they know what they're doing, but they haven't served hospitals a whole lot. And therefore, they can make what we call an imperfect document. And when it comes to our risk management department, we review them. And I'll tell you what's good and what's bad and what's ugly on these things. Civil cases, notice of complaint and summons, and ducus tecum documentation, wage garnishment, and deposition, notification of depositions. We'll take all of that stuff. We'll help you. If you come to the management of any hospital and you tell them that you are here to serve process on this doctor, this nurse, this person, we'll work with you. We'll find out their schedule. We'll make sure you can get to meet them face to face and serve your process. What we can't help you with, and we can refuse, is personal civil action. I don't like your dog biting my wife, and so I'm suing you. That has nothing to do with Denver Health, and we can refuse you access to the property. Oh, wait a minute, I have the right to serve. No, you don't. This is private property, and we can have security escort you off the premise. I can technically revoke your right to trespass, and we don't get into that. I've been doing this at 16 years now at Denver Health. Never had any big problem with process servers, but I have had some minor ones. Divorce actions, personal issue. I'm not going to help you. I'm not even going to be able to tell you if the person works for us. Repossessions. If you want to go out in the parking garage and wait until the person, or find the person's car out there and tow it away, that's up to you, but I'm not going to let you go into our property or go contact the person in regards to it. We operate literally thousands and thousands of patients through our facility. Life and death situations are going on all the time. Your service of process is not a #1 priority to us. Now, maybe 15 times you've tried to hunt the person down, and by God, I know they're here, let me in. And I'm telling you, you're just going to have to wait. Bear with us, because if you push enough of my buttons, I'll kick you off the property, and you'll lose all the cooperation in the world. I'm trying to say that we want to work with you, but you have to come at least halfway to meet with us. The more you insist on your rights, the harder I will push back until I flat tell you leave. End of discussion. My secretary, who handles all of the process, and myself, I have evicted process servers off the property. I've had them come in, throw paper at my feet, tell me that they know what they're doing. I said, that's fine. I have 5 attorneys working in-house for Denver Health. We can squash a subpoena in about 20 minutes. We can call the judge. We know them personally. Every judge in Colorado, in the Denver area, our general counsel has had interaction with. They just call up and say, what's this crap? This guy served us incorrectly. we'll squash the subpoena. So you don't want to get there. We want to work with you, work with us. Understand, we will confirm that an employee works for us. So if you come in and say, I'm after Dr. Smith, what's his first name? I don't know. Where does he work? I'm not sure. I got 9 Smiths. How do I help you? That's an error on the part or an imperfect subpoena. I need more specifics to be able to identify the person. But if we can find out that that paramedic works for us, I'll let you know, yeah, he works for us. Well, I need to serve him. I understand that. Here's our process. These guys are out in the field. The paramedics are rolling all over the place. We run the paramedic service for the city and county of Denver. You can't just go chase ambulances, literally. Instead, what we're going to ask you to do is to come at the beginning of their shift or the end of their shift. We will have the commander of that division bring the paramedic to you, and you can hand them the subpoena. Personal service, no hassle, no fight. But if you decide to chase them down, we will stop you. If you interfere with our medical practice, we will stop you. And you really don't want to get in that situation. We'll arrange to have the employee meet you. We will support your right. Understand, you have a right, and we know what those rights are. We will support those rights. We're not going to push back against you. Most hospitals will work with all process servers. We can't help you if you have, how do I put this gently? Law firms don't know what the hell they're doing. It may be the big ones who have worked against us on a regular basis or have subpoenaed us regularly, but if it's a small law firm or they've never sued a hospital or they don't understand the system, they will make mistakes. They will combine a doctor with a subpoena duces tecum. What are they doing? Well, they're saying, I want the doctor to appear with all of his records. The physician is not the custodian of records. That is an imperfect document, and we will refuse to serve it. I've had them throw it at my feet and say, you're served. Ta-da! You just wasted your time, and I'm going to call your law firm and tell them that that's an imperfect document. I will be glad to talk to the attorney at the law firm and tell them, guy's trying to serve us, but we can't accept an imperfect document. I'll be glad to. I'm not opposed to talking to the law firms, but understand that that's impossible for us to deal with. I have had a subpoena that says the doctor who treated and the name of the patient. A fishing expedition. No judge would sign that subpoena. It is a flawed document. Trust me, I know what I'm looking at. You might think you have some experience, but I've been doing this for 25 years. I know what I'm dealing with. Work with me, I'll help you out. I'll tell you what you need, I'll call the law firm and we'll let them know, but they can't just go fishing for whoever did it. Improper name on a notice and complaint. We are, and so is University Hospital and several public entities. As such, Denver Health is a political subdivision of the state of Colorado. As such, we are governed by governmental immunities. Governmental immunities are something that most law firms have never dealt with, but they have a specific amount of time, statute of limitations, to give us a notice that they intend to sue, and a specific amount of time to sue us for malpractice, whatever it might be, and that's different than the normal statutes of limitations. So sometimes this gets right down to the wire. So who would you go to sue if you were a law firm and somebody at Denver Health did a malpractice on you? Well, if you're a small law firm, it's not Denver Health, it's Denver General. That's what it's always been. And who does Denver General belong to? City and County of Denver. So they actually fill out the paperwork to sue the City and County of Denver. They serve it on the mayor and the city attorney. City of Denver doesn't have a hospital. We separated from them in 1997. We are a political subdivision of the state. So they immediately go back to the attorney, being arrogant and knowing that they've screwed up, but they know how to do it. And they file against the state of Colorado and file against the attorney general, and they file against the governor. We're a political subdivision. You actually have to have the documentation. I'm not going to help your attorney sue us. Don't misunderstand me. But I will let you know that this is improper or an imperfect document, and we cannot accept it. Summons and complaint has to be against the CEO and the General Counsel of Denver Health Hospital Authority. Otherwise, you don't get anywhere. You might think you've served it correctly, but we can easily squash this entire case because it wasn't timely or it was improperly administered. Understand, the drop and run, good theory, doesn't work. I have not accepted or been able, 100% success on drop and run subpoena process. Isaac here has worked with me for years. I work with you guys. I will work every way I can to get the subpoena through, and so will most hospitals. I cannot furnish confidential information. As an authority, there are certain specific guidelines. Don't come in and say, well, can you tell me where this doc lives so I can go serve him? No, I can't. Matter of fact, I can't even confirm that he's an employee under subpoena. All I can do is look up and say, yeah, you've got a valid subpoena that we can accept. I'll work it out for you. But if you're serving him for divorce, I can't even confirm that he's an employee by state law. HIPAA. God, it's an overkill situation. HIPAA is a federal law that prevents me from disclosing confidential patient information. What is confidential patient information? Nobody's really defined it well enough. There's not enough case law. The mayor got hurt on a bicycle, and he wound up at Denver Health. You cannot believe the people who tried to get in to see him. Literally, we had a person from the media come in a clerical outfit saying he was the mayor's minister and wanted to go in to see the mayor. If we had allowed it, if we hadn't verified that, how do you verify someone's a minister? Do they have a card-carrying priest or something? I mean, how do you do that? Well, our security stopped and said, we need to verify this. Oh, the irateness. Found out he wasn't a minister at all. He just needed to get in there and see if he could get the story. So we have probably better trained security than most agencies, but we have security that kind of knows what they're doing. And if they get run up against something, they call me or they call one of our risk management staff. We can't accept subpoena on behalf of another person. So yeah, I'll accept this for Dr. Smith. If you look at the subpoena, it's personal service. It means you have to have served the person. Can I accept it for them? Sure, but they're not bound to appear. And you can't swear I served it to someone that wasn't there. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't get a doctor's administrative aide to accept service for him, but it will be approved by risk management first. Every subpoena that comes through my office, once we've reviewed it and found out it's a valid document, gets stamped with risk management's name, date, and time. And that's what our doctors look for. Risk management's looked at it, it's legitimate, they'll accept the service. Let's see, what else do I really want to cover here? We have the right, in many cases, to deny the service. We have an obligation to accept it. Now, I've met with the district attorney probably 10 times in the past 15 years and the public defender, by the way, to streamline the subpoena process. You guys are well aware that this whole game is a chess game when it comes to criminal law. 95% of subpoenas never go to fruition. People never have to show up in court. That means only 5% show up. Now, this is a double-sided sword. We had doctors who would get the subpoena and throw it in the trash. They're not going to go to court. And if they admit they have the subpoena, that means they have to go to court. So they figure that's the way to get rid of it. So yeah, we had to educate our docs. On the other side of the fence, we had to educate the district attorney and the public defender to say, hey guys, you want to subpoena our doc? Give us the subpoena. We'll have them mail in a card that says they have got the information. And then within 2 weeks of the trial, if you haven't contacted the doctor, he's not going to post the time. So you need to know what cases are going to court and which ones aren't. The vast majority, when the public defender and the district attorney sit down at the table and everybody says, all the people have been served and we're ready to go to trial, that means let's make a deal. If one side is weaker than the other, they'll take it to trial. So we'll work with you to get the subpoenas there. When it comes to medical records, we have a medical records department. You give us the proper subpoena for medical records, it'll go over to our medical records department, and they'll demand to have a HIPAA qualified release signed by the patient. Well, that's not always available. Well, you're not going to get the records otherwise. That's the way it works. Now, you want to subpoena the records? There's a process you can go through. You can get a hold of the district attorney, for example, and under disclosure, they have to release all of the records that they have to you free of charge. There's things that work out between law firms, the same sort of situation. But if you come in demanding records and you want them free and you want them now, dream on. It isn't going to happen that way. But I will promise you a couple things. I'll never lie to you. I'll tell you the truth and let you know what we can do for you and what we can't. I will also do my best to make sure that your process gets served easily, quietly, in a quiet area, have the person come out. If this guy needs to be a witness or this guy is the bad guy or whatever, we'll help you. But I have had all the way up to law enforcement come in and saying, we have a murder suspect in your hospital, we want to arrest him. Sound simple? If they make an arrest, they must take custody. I know their rights. And I also know it's financially advantageous for Denver Health to have them in custody because now I get the bill guaranteed by whoever's prosecuting them. If they immediately arrest and then release them OR, which they can't do, to get out of the bill. And we've had them do that from other jurisdictions. They know all kinds of games to play, and I've had process servers that try to play the games as well. So it's not just you guys, law enforcement as well. Try to develop some relationship, especially if you're working constantly with a particular hospital. Get to know who the person is who knows the process. Work with them, contact them. Isaac comes in to see me on a regular basis, and he knows. Sorry, the guy quit 6 weeks ago. Can I get his home address? He knows not to ask. Sorry, he doesn't work for us. Go do your DMV search, do a Nexus Lexus, pull him up somewhere, but you can't get it from me because it's literally finable if I release the information. We have in-house legal secretaries, we have in-house legal attorney assistants who will process or help you with the process without a problem. It comes to my desk when it becomes a problem. Literally, I have gone face-to-face with the process server who's telling me, you're going to take this or I'm going to have you arrested. Fine, here's my card. Have the judge spell my name correctly on the bench warrant. In the meantime, get the hell off my property. I'm revoking your right to trespass. You can't do that. Don't push my buttons. Believe me, you do not want to push too hard. What you want to do is say, geez, I'm really sorry, maybe we got off on the wrong foot, and work with me, not against us. Ambulance supervisors. The only way to get a hold of them is through me. You want to serve process on a guy who just works graveyards and gets off at 3 o'clock in the morning? I can work it out for you. I can get that supervisor to get that paramedic to meet you at the office at Denver Health at a specific time and have you hand them the service. If you want to go chasing them, good luck with that. I mean, these guys they're scared stiff. These are young, macho paramedics like firemen are, That
was a big problem, really.
It was a big problem. These guys are scared stiff. They're going to be sued for malpractice. And anybody who's serving them, that's what their concept is. For me to sit down with the paramedics and say, I'll look at it, and I'll let you know if it's a malpractice, I'll deal with it. If it's a situation where you witnessed an accident and this private law firm wants you to come into court, that's fine. We're going to make sure that you go there. That's part of your job. And they'll now work with me. I've only had 2 bench warrants issued since I've been with Denver Health. One was for my partner who accepted service for a physician and then the physician did not appear. The other one was for a paramedic. And that's when we stopped the whole paramedic issue. And he was literally running away from the process server. I mean, we're chasing each other down the street sort of thing. And we've stopped all of that. And I think you'll find most halfway decent hospitals will have stopped that. They'll work with you. Do not attempt to serve a doctor unless you've gone through Denver Health. The reason why, through our risk management. Why? These guys are trying to save lives. They are in the emergency department. They are not going to interrupt a procedure to come accept process. And I know you think you have rights. Don't go there. I was listening to the prior speaker talking about, what you can do and how far you can push things and whatnot. There's a lot easier ways in this world to serve process. You don't need to be the bad guy. And there are also jerks who want to go fist to fist with you, and they seem to know what their rights are. When you have two, I mean this not negatively, ignorant people about the law getting involved in a conflict and the cop rides up on the scene, you're not going to make a decision unless you push his buttons. And then he'll arrest whoever is the bad guy in his mind. So don't push their buttons. Find a calm way to do it if you possibly can. This is the last slide, and I don't know if you printed out handouts or not. If you haven't, my name and my secretary, Pam Briscoe, and I'm Rich Reed. We should be your contacts. If you ever need to serve process at Denver Health, give me a call. Just let me know what you're doing. You can call me out in front and say, hey, Rich, I got the subpoena. It's from the Johnson & Johnson law firm, Dewey, Cheatham & Howe. The attorney, Dewey, is here. And he wants to serve this doc. Okay, I'll explain to you what the process is and how to do it. Okay? One last comment, and this kind of goes back to the last person. When you're talking about self-defense, there's a lot of case law on it. And the basic is this. At no time can you be deemed the aggressor and use the codicil of self-defense. You can block a punch, you can run away, you can do all kinds of things to defend yourself, and at some point you may meet force with equal force. So if somebody's coming at you with a knife, you can defend yourself with a knife. If they're coming at you with a gun, you can defend yourself with a gun. But at no time can you bring a gun to a knife fight and claim self-defense. Lethal weapons, that's getting a little bit gray, but fundamentally keep that in mind. You can't beat somebody up for no cause whatsoever. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Richard, all the other hospital entities know who you are?
Do all the other hospital entities know who I am? No. I have been in risk management at Denver Health long enough. All the big boys know me. We have 103 self-insured hospitals in this, or businesses in the state of Colorado, and I've been on the board of the Self-Insured Association for Workers' Compensation. Been involved with RIMS, which is Risk and Insurance Management. So I am fairly well known in the industry, but if you run up against a problem with a hospital and they're really giving you pushback, feel free to ask them, could you call Rich? Maybe he'll tell you what program they're using to kind of iron this problem out. I'll be glad to help it out, because everybody wins if it goes smoothly. Good question, thank you. Yes, sir.
What's the hospital position on carrying a firearm?
What's the hospital's position on carrying a firearm? You know, this thing goes back and forth all the time. Right now, currently, under the state law and under the city ordinances, we have the right to refuse you access to our facility if you have a firearm. Okay? I carried a gun for 10 years, a .357 Magnum 4-inch. I mean, I didn't go lightweight. I never once was burned having the gun. At Denver Health, we have a metal detector for our emergency room. We average 12 loaded firearms per month. These are people attempting to go into the emergency room through a metal detector. These are the dumb ones. The smart ones have stashed their gun in the car. We get about 200 knives per month. The world is filled with risk. My position as a cop for 10 years of doing this, when you pull that weapon, be ready to kill someone, and it's got to be a situation that I would rather be tried by 12 of my friends than carried by 6 of my peers. Okay?
But what I was saying is, I was at Denver General one time. I had my firearm with me, and I was able to check. If I remember right, I checked it in. They called somebody.
Yeah, we have a gun locker that's available for.
Check it in because my wife was in there for the first time.
Yeah.
And I had run in there without thinking because I was concerned about my wife. And
people who carry guns all the time don't think about it. Everyone else in the world is absolutely paranoid of someone with a gun. Good guy, bad guy, or whatnot. Unless you're a cop, you've got to be something screw loose to carry a gun. CCW, I respect it, I understand it. Come up front, put it in the gun locker, check in with the Sheriff's Department. We have a full forensic facility there. We have ways to help you with that program. Or better yet, don't bring it on the property at all if you can remember not to, and then you don't have to deal with it. Yes, sir.
I would like to compliment your office. The first time I went there and went through the process of having you or Ms. Briscoe authorized, like, God, this is a little time consuming. but each time I've gone there in the past, you've always been very, very helpful, very, very professional. I wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate your feedback. And that's what we really want to target is to, yeah, it isn't a simple system. It isn't just throw the paper and run. But you will have proper service. It will be something that the courts will support. And it is something that we know we didn't interrupt the world in order to do it. So everybody wins if you work that system. Yes, sir?
Would you tell us where your medical records are on the Wellington Web?
Yeah, this is a giant facility now. I mean, we have on-site campus and off-site, 21 clinics outside of it. But on campus, there is a building called the Wellington Webcenter. The Wellington Webcenter is in the middle of campus, and it is a facility that's 3 stories tall, and in the basement is our medical records department. For right now, what you need to know is where I am. 660 Bannock, 5-story building, paramedics on 1 story. I'm in the 5th story. Even if your subpoena is for medical records, come up to us. We'll review it, we'll stamp it, and we'll give you handheld directions on how to get down to medical records.
Can you give that address again, please?
660 Bannock. I'm on the 5th floor, Rich Reed.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much. I appreciate having the time.
Great job.